on. All right, everyone. Good evening. It's Monday night, so y'all know what that means. It is time for Nerdcamp Sports. I am Mike Williams. We got Raja Anthony Ali, R&B joining in shortly. What's going on, my brother?
Man, everything's great. You know, happy to be on. Excited to be on. Glad the NBA Finals is over. It's bittersweet because we don't
I
got
was just,
basketball.
I was just about to say it's bittersweet. I was
Yeah,
just
'cause
about to
we
say
don't
that
have it
exactly.
until September, man. October.
This is the
We
worst
don't.
part because you got no football or basketball. You got
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah. It's gonna be a light summer this summer. You got WNBA, of course. We got baseball, of course. Big three basketball. I watch a lot of that too. So there's some things on, but it's not the same. It just doesn't hit the same.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's just get right into it. Last night we seen the solidification of one of the greatest NBA seasons of all time,
Right.
and we'll get into SGA specifically later, but I wanted to start with the NBA Finals, Game Seven. We haven't had a Game Seven, I believe, since Curry and LeBron, right? If I'm not
Right.
mistaken, that was
Yeah.
2016. Uh,
2016. Yep.
what were your
Yeah.
thoughts on Game Seven in totality?
Well, I was excited before it started, of course, because it was Game 7, and it's win or go home, which is always great. But I was also upset that they allowed Halliburton to play. Now we already knew he had a lingering um, calf injury, quote unquote calf injury, because we know what that leads to. That leads to an Achilles tendons injury,
Right.
just like it happened with Kevin Durant back when he was with Golden State Warriors. Just like it happened with a lot of these players that said they have calf injuries, like Damian Lillard this season, and the list goes on and on and on. Long story short, I was kind of disappointed how it ended because I wanted a real battle. I wanted the best of the best to be on the floor at 100%. I wanted the battle to be about who can score the most and also play the best defense. But it ended up being OKC and how many points they're going to win by. That's what it pretty much came down to. And
Right.
we knew that since that injury happened occurred in the first quarter that it was going to be like that because yes, don't get me wrong. The Pacers had a great run. They had some great players step up like TJ McConnell, Pascal Siakam, even some role players like Obi Toppin, right? But the truth is, in order to beat a team that's number one in the whole NBA, in order to be a team that is historically defensively one of the best teams to play in the finals, you got to come with your best, and you got to come in there and play the right way. So I think that injury sucked the life right out of the Pacers team. It sucked it right out when they saw that injury. So I was just a little bit disappointed how it ended and how it all came together because I believe if I was Rick Carlisle, if I was working for the organization, I would have sat Tyrese Halliburton out and would have allowed the best players out there to just go ahead and just play without him. I know it's Game 7. I know you want to put your best players as far as like talent wise, but if you know the guy has a calf injury, 9 times out of 10, that is not just a regular calf, that is Achilles. So that's just my take on it. I would have rested him. I would allow Nimhard to go out there and play point. I would allow TJ McConnell to go out there and play point, and just see where it goes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, we know this isn't how it works. We know that these guys, it is Game Seven. There's no tomorrow. Unless he was in a walking boot or he was doing something else, Halliburton was going to plan to be on that floor. Now, what I will say is he knew when he went down. He knew it was
Of
over.
course.
Knew it.
Yeah.
He knew it. Um, I do believe that his injury changed the trajectory of the game. But I'm just going to say this, and many people aren't going to like this, but the Pacers weren't supposed to win this series anyway.
Hmm.
Let's just be honest. They weren't. Like, some may even say they shouldn't have even been in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
But they are probably the most resilient team I've ever seen with my own eyes, because
Right.
these motherfuckers don't go away. They'll be down 20, and then next thing you know they're up 5. Like, wait, what?
Yep.
So I am disappointed that he got hurt. I don't ever want to see anyone get hurt. But it comes with the game.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, the game itself, let's be honest here. It's not like OKC really smacked them out of the water in this game. I mean,
Right.
for the Pacers still had an opportunity, and they were up by a point at the half, so they still had a chance to win this game. They still had a chance to be in the finals or to win the finals without arguably their best player. So
Right.
now, when you look at that, you're like, man, that was special. Even in losing, it was still special. The game itself, we knew what it was going to be. I told everyone, Halliburton, not Halliburton, SGA had to, go out there and play a game that was going to, how can I say it? He was going to have to play a game that was going to get him not so much the MVP, but get him remembered, get him solidified.
Yeah.
And he went out there and he balled out. Chet Holmgren balled out. Jay Will balled out. That dog Alex Caruso balled out. And although OKC is the better team, Indiana has the better unit, if that makes sense. Like, they work better together.
Right.
So I was upset about it, but in the same breath, they played a good game.
Right. I agree. I definitely agree. And I think that's why I went 7 games, because you had a team. Well, both teams are very resilient and they play great team ball. This was probably the only finals I've witnessed in the past 10 years where it was honestly not a clear-cut winner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that the finals was better than the rest of those finals I've seen in the last 10 years, but this was the first one I've seen and I witnessed that I couldn't pick a winner for Game 7 comfortably. So I get it.
Yeah, I think when we look at it too, this finals was one of the most balanced ones. Yeah. I mean, like, a lot of people were upset, but here's my thing. I believe that, like, we didn't get, all the people we thought, your Giannis or your LeBron or your Curry or whatever, but isn't the league about transcending and going forward? Let's just like look at this here, right? Like, whether people like it or not, this is where we are. This is where the league is going.
Right.
These are the players we're looking at. And I think that it's going to be these guys for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Which leads me into and now, funny, right? So I just got this on my phone. After Game 1, they were calling it the lowest rated finals ever.
Right.
After Game 7, the Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals was the most watched finals game since 2019, averaging 16.4 million viewers, peaking with nearly 20 million.
Yeah.
So now, that tells me that people are understanding. People are starting to say, "Oh, okay, this is what it is," because whether we like it or not, LeBron's way closer to the end than the beginning. He's still playing
exactly.
phenomenal basketball.
Yeah,
Giannis, Giannis still is in his prime, but we do know like eventually
that window's closing.
that window's closing, right?
Mhm.
Curry closer to the end than the beginning.
Yep.
Kevin Durant closer to the end than the beginning.
Yes.
Whoever else you want to throw in there. And now, like, people forget that Tatum and Brown been in the league for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like people like
Still young, but they've been in the league for a long time.
right, because even though they're still young, listen, that mileage is that mileage. Like
Yep.
we
Right.
know we watch LeBron, but we know what that mileage can do. And
Mm-hmm.
now, essentially now you missing Jason Tatum all next year, right?
Yeah.
So he gonna come back a little weird,
Yep.
sluggish, and things of that nature. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is now we're going into a time where now these two teams are going to be the teams, right? Two of the teams.
Mhm.
Um, I expect the San Antonio Spurs to make another splash and them to be a team, right? I'm
Right.
expecting Cooper Flag to get drafted to the Mavericks first overall and
Mm-hmm.
pray to God that Kyrie Irving can come back and be the same player, and
Yeah.
that Anthony Davis can stay healthy. I'm expecting them to make a splash, right?
Right.
So, because I do believe that they have, with all that, a championship caliber team situation. Let me not say
Yeah.
team because I don't know what we're going to see, but a situation for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. And it's funny you mentioned that because a lot of the NBA casuals have been complaining about the ratings. They've been complaining about how boring it is and all this stuff, right? But let's be honest. Since 2019, there have been a new champion every single year.
Last 7 years,
Yep, for the last 7 years, there's been a new NBA champion every single season. What I mean by that is that there's no dynasty teams moving in the 2020s, right? So we have our Golden State Warriors of the early 2010s. We have our Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron going to the finals multiple times with them and all this stuff. Like that's great. But like you said, your Steph Currys of the world, your LeBrons of the world, even your young stars that were young stars, but they've been in the game for 10 years, like Tatum and Brown, you know, they've been in the game for 10 plus years. So it's like we got to look at some new stars. Your Tyrese Halliburtons of the world, your Shea Gildas Alexanders of the world, your who else? There's players out there. Your Wembyama.
Wembanyama. There's a lot
Like you
of
said, Cooper Flag.
talk
There's
behind
different.
the flag.
Yeah, there's a lot of players that are going to come up in the next 3 to 5 years that people are going to be excited about, and we need to build the narrative and story around them. We can't keep going off of LeBron and Curry for the next 5 to 10 years because he won't even be in the league for the next 5 to 10 years. And even if they are, they're not even going to be worth watching.
Nah,
Look at Chris Paul.
yep,
Like
they're just
Chris
gonna be.
Paul is I believe he's around the same age as LeBron. He might be a year or two older, but it's like, damn, you don't hear people talk about Chris Paul like that. And don't get me wrong, he's a great player. He's definitely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But you need to build a team and you need to build stories around young stars. That's how you move like you mentioned, Mike. That's how you move the organization or the league forward. You need to build stories, man. So I'm excited to see what happens next season because nothing is predictable. But I'm also a little nervous and cautious too because nothing is predictable.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
So I want to talk about Tyrese Halliburton's injury,
Yes.
and I want to bring, um, I want to talk about his injury because how important his injury is, not to so much um, the Pacers, but to the NBA. I seen something yesterday that said that Halliburton missing next year means he could miss the end of his prime.
Wow.
Now, now, I personally don't believe that at 27 that would be the end of his prime. They're saying they say he'll either be back at 27 or at 28. I don't think that's the end of his prime. But what I do want to say is that this injury now marks three of the teams who are supposed to be in that upper echelon next season, right? So they don't have Halliburton due to the Achilles. The Celtics don't have Tatum due to the Achilles. Damian Lillard is out due to the Achilles. Where do you, and I'm going to shoot this one to R&B, to start, where do you believe that leaves the Eastern Conference? Right? And when I say what I mean when I say that is, who's going to step up and say, okay, we're going to grab this. And how bad does it hurt the NBA in your opinion?
Um, hmm, that's a good question. I think it leaves the Eastern Conference wide open for the most part. I think two teams that I can think of off top, that I think should definitely be in the running to step in there and try to take control of the Eastern Conference next year, as far
Uh-huh.
as contending for a championship. You should be looking at Cleveland number one. They should be
Yep.
looking to bench for the last couple seasons how they've failed in the playoffs, and I think that you should be looking at New York as number two because even though they lost, they we assume how they ended this playoff run going in the next season that they're going to be one of the teams coming in healthy. Um, and then I'll throw a third one out there slightly. Um, I think you still got to pay attention to Boston. I said it before. I think this is a year where Jalen Brown has to go and show that he's not just a second fiddle, that he's in doubt, capable of being the number one option on the team. It's this year being the number one option to lead Boston. So I got New York, I got Cleveland, and I still got Boston because I'm holding Jalen Brown to high expectations, and I'm also holding Porzingis to those expectations too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Get your ass back on the court and start playing like Porzingis again. So those are the three teams that I think could potentially make noise as far as the contenders in the East. But I
Okay.
think it's going to be wide open with the injuries.
I also want to just add Orlando Magic, it's your time. And I know in a sense that, you want teams to be full strength, but this is your opportunity to elevate more than you already have. I mean, there was a point where they were in second place in the Eastern Conference this season, right? So, we got to look at that as well, that as a team that should be trying to get in that range. Raj, what do you think it means, these injuries, in terms of the actual league itself? Like, how will it hurt the how will it hurt the league, or yeah, really hurt the league, because injuries always hurt. But how you think it's going to hurt the league, and how can they kind of make up for it in a sense?
Well, first of all, you guys can hear me, right?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Because I stepped out the room, that's why I was making sure. No, I think it's going to potentially change the league in a way where we got to investigate a lot. Because, like you mentioned earlier, Mike, this is like the third or fourth Achilles injuries this season. And we know Jason Tatum went down with one. Damian Lillard went down. Tyrese Halliburton. There's one more I'm missing.
It,
But anyway,
it was 8 total the
it,
entire season
it,
in the playoffs. 8 Achilles this year.
that's too many. It's got to, and I know I might be tripping by saying this, but they got to investigate the shoes. They got to investigate the shoes. They got to investigate the strength and conditioning coaches, the medical staff, because if your star, like you mentioned, someone like Tyrese Halliburton, who's 25 years old, have to wait basically 2 years to get back to 100%, that can kill your franchise. Because who's to say that they'll even make it back to the NBA Finals? Because there's teams that's coming. You know, I like what the Magic did. I like their addition with Desmond Baines. I like what the Knicks is doing. You know what they're doing as far as building up their core. They need to find a coach, and then there's other teams that are on the rise in the East. You know, you got teams like Boston, of course. You know that still got stars on the team. I don't know if they're going to bring back Drew Holiday, but if they can find a veteran to be the point guard, I think they can still make the finals.
I heard Drew Holiday was on the trade block.
Yeah, I heard the
That
same
sucks.
thing.
Yeah, me too. I heard it, but I hope that's not the case because they really need Drew. But there's teams out there in the East that I truly think can win, and I'm saying that because it's going to change the landscape of the whole entire league with these injuries. Because there's teams like even Milwaukee. We know Giannis isn't staying in Milwaukee if Dame's not back next season, and he's not coming back next season. So it's just a matter of time for him to be gone because his window's closing for another championship. So that's my take on it. I think it's going to change the dynamic of the league, but we got to figure out, not we, us, but I'm saying the whole entire league have to figure out how to fix this injury situation because these are career-ending injuries.
Well,
Can
I'll
I
say
say something real quick? No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just was gonna piggyback off what Raj has said. Something else to pay attention to is the pace and space that these guys play with.
True.
The pace that they play at now, it's
Yep.
like so, up and down the court. You know what I'm saying? It's a little taxing on the body. It's taxing on the feet. It's taxing on the calves.
Mm-hmm.
It's taxing to run up and down the court. I seen a stat that said that this is the highest pace, like modern day NBA, is the highest pace that they played at since like 1976 or some shit like that. And if
That's
you're a
crazy.
historian of the game or someone who just likes sports and you ever sat back and watched like an old game on ESPN Classic one day or some shit like that, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see how fast they used to run up and down the court back in the
Oh
day,
yeah.
like just running. So so I think that might be something that could be possibly attributing to some of these Achilles injuries as well. I just
Yeah.
want to throw that out there.
That's a great point. That is a great point because it's got to be more than what they're telling us on TV. Because this all happened this season. It wasn't like 4 seasons, 5 seasons. It was all this season. All these injuries with Achilles happened. So they got to figure this out, or it's going to be a total different everything next season.
Well, it always hurts when you don't have your top players. And it's sad for the Pacers because now without Halliburton, you've gone from a team that's potentially going to get a good amount of primetime games to a team that might not.
Yep.
Not saying that the rest of the team isn't talented, but he's the piece that most people would want to see if they're a fan of that team, right? So, obviously Boston will still get TV time, but without Tatum, we're looking at Brown, but we all know no matter how bad of a shooting night Tatum has, it's his team. He's the lead guy. I believe that Jaylen Brown was getting to a point where it was more shared, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't all about Tatum. But we know that Jaylen Brown has gotten better at going left. This is something he wasn't doing at all. And but I hope while Tatum is out, he kind of figures out like, bro, when you come back, don't hoist up threes when you're missing them. Dude will shoot 4 of 17 from three, and then he shoots 8 of 31 from the field for the night. I mean, that's just not winning basketball. Yeah, you got a championship, but that's not going to win, especially when you have teams who are starting to be more aggressive defensively. Um, you know, and I just hope that, to Roger's point, that they can figure that they can figure it out. You know, that they can figure it out. That because it was the same thing back when they were doing the ACL injuries. Like not when they were doing them, but when a lot of guys were tearing their ACL. Around that time, Derrick Rose tore his. It was like crazy. Like it was just like everyone was doing it, and then I had read, some scientific facts behind it, like the way they would run and the way they would just land on their legs and just all the weight. It would mess them up. So,
But one thing I can say about a player like Derrick Rose, real quick, is that we all kind of seen it coming. Mm-hmm. We didn't know if it would be a catastrophic injury or if it would just be like a lot of knickknacks. Whenever you see a player to the level of like an Allen Iverson, a Derrick Rose, a John Morant, extreme speed, extreme athleticism, extreme jumping abilities, it kind of, with an undersized body, what I'm saying, it kind of leads to those types of injuries, like where a lot of you got your knee injuries, your ACLs, or your knick-knack injuries. So, what I'm saying, Derrick Rose probably was the one that got the worst out of it with blowing out the knee. Didn't he? I think he blew out both knees at one point in time. You know what I'm saying? Like we know the first one, right before the Team USA thing. But then when he came back, didn't he like blow out the other knee or something like that?
Yeah.
We know the history of Allen Iverson with his injury woes back in the day, playing hurt, and we see John Morant as of recent, with his injury woes. So I think with them three in particular, just those style players, you kind of already see it coming with the style of play that they play.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm just looking something up.
And those who might watch this and might say, did he just put extreme athleticism in the same sentence with Allen Iverson? You don't know Allen Iverson if you don't know that that's a match.
Facts.
So, I want to ask this question. Like I said, last night capped off, probably statistically and realistically, one of the greatest seasons I can say I've ever seen with my two eyes. Which now we have to have the conversation. Is SGA
he about to do it?
The next face of the league?
Okay, you ain't do it. You almost did it.
Right.
You almost pissed me off.
What? Why? What'd you think I was
like
going to say?
You said, I thought you were about to say, are we like about to start talking about this as one of the greatest NBA teams we've ever seen?
I thought that's what he was going to say. The greatest, the greatest finals and the greatest MVP. Oh man!
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
No,
you say.
No.
To answer your question, though, Mike. Yeah, I'll say by default he is. The reason I'm saying that is because he did win an MVP this season. He also went to the finals, and I don't know. Did he win the finals MVP? I didn't watch the.
He won.
He won the NBA Finals MVP, the regular season MVP. He won the scoring title, and he also won the Western Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah, so he's the face of the league for now. I think it's still up for grabs, though. Like, I really love what Ant-Man did last season. I think he has an opportunity to be the face of the league soon, but he needs to like fix his personal stuff, man. That's the problem. Like you don't hear nothing from SGA. Like that dude is like radio silent with his like personal life. So I think Adam Silver could possibly back up SGA as the like the face of the league. But the only issue I have with SGA, and it might be a little bit, it might be crazy for what I'm saying, but just hear me out. It's because he's not from the United States. He's Canadian. Now, if I'm the commissioner, I have no
I
problem with
don't
it.
think that matter. I don't think that matter with a player like SGA because he might be Canadian, but at the end of the day, he's still a black man. He's just a black Canadian, but he
No,
still it's nothing different between him and us outside of Canada and America. Now, when you start
True.
talking Joker and shit like that, and then yeah, that argument has weight and makes sense. But it just with SGA, I don't know. I feel like it's a little different. I mean, he a brother at the end of the day. He just a Canadian brother. That's it. He's still a brother.
Absolutely. Oh, I think he froze on us. Yeah, I mean, I think I can agree with what you're saying because don't matter where you're from, you black, you black. Like
Right.
that's that's the truth. Like he go
No,
outside, you think kids know he's Canadian? You think people like who
right.
don't watch sports know he's Canadian? Like I ain't gonna
No,
hold you.
no,
I didn't know he was Canadian till
I didn't.
I seen
I
him
didn't
playing with
either
him.
until I didn't know he was Canadian until maybe like 2 seasons ago or so when he kind of started to, start catch wind a little bit and they started talking about him a little bit more. That's when I kind of, I was like, damn, he can. I didn't even know Jamal Murray was Canadian for a while.
Wait,
I didn't know
who?
Jamal Murray was Canadian for a while.
Wait, you said Jamal Murray's Canadian?
Yes, Jamal Murray's Canadian.
That's news to
I
me.
didn't know he was Canadian for a while. Yeah, see? So I think now what I will say though, a little to Roger's point, but I think I would say it a little differently. I like SGA, but the thing about SGA is he truly marketable as the face of the league? That's the bigger question when it comes to him.
That
Is
makes
he
sense.
marketable as the face of the league? Because he, as cold as he is, he can be a little Tim Duncanish as a guard. So he's kind of a Tim Duncanish guard. And when I say that, I'm of course I'm talking mentality, the quietness, not what I'm saying. Not you. We know Tim could never be the face of the league. He just wasn't marketable. So you just go be Tim. You know
And
what I'm
he
saying?
and he never wanted that. I mean, look at the way he
Yeah.
retired. Even like Kobe had this whole tour, and then suddenly at the end of the year, he's like, "I'm done." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like you just gonna be like, "I'm out," and Tim, that's what he did. So that's a good question. That's a good question. Is SGA mark? Wait, how'd you say it? Is he marketable?
I said the better question is he truly marketable as the face of the league because of his just makeup, his character. I just compared him, Raj. I said I think SGA is kind of like the guard version of a Tim Duncan. He's just gonna go dominate and be him, but he's just has a bland personality. He just not really don't come across as marketable for the face of the league. He don't have that Anthony Edwards sizzle to him. And even though I feel like Anthony Edwards sizzle can be a little irritating and overboard at times, he still got that makeup that makes you look at him and say, like, yeah, he could be face of the league.
right. No, I get that, and I agree. By the way, guys, I'm having some type of like internet issues. It, like went out. The whole internet went out. But
No worries.
real quick though, I want to say I agree with what y'all saying. However, I'm saying as far as how the NBA pushes superstars, because look how, like someone like Giannis, right? Giannis is probably one of the most marketable stars in our league, superstars in our league. But the NBA never really fully embraced him as being the face of the league, even when he won a championship and won MVPs. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that he's not like a huge like box office. But let's be real. He's got more personality and more commercial personality than Ant-Man. But the NBA never
I
embraced him.
I disagree. Hold on, who you talking about SGA still?
No, 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 no. Giannis.
Oh, Giannis? No,
Yeah.
I disagree still. I disagree still.
Well,
You think Giannis has more marketable sizzle than Ant Man?
yeah. I'm
I
talking about
disagree,
this
but I
dude.
do think Giannis is marketable though.
Yeah, but
He doesn't have a bland personality.
right. He's got personality. He can speak multiple languages. He's from
Yeah,
like three countries.
and
He's
you lead me right to who I think Giannis is more marketable as the face of the league comparison wise. Like I just said, SGA is more your Tim Duncan. Giannis is more of your Kobe.
yeah, true. But that's what I'm saying. But Kobe had a time when he was the face of the league. You
Yeah,
get what I'm saying?
definitely. I don't disagree that Giannis is isn't capable
Yeah.
or wasn't at a point in time.
So why do you think the NBA never really embraced him as the face of the league? Is it because of the timing?
I think that they did embrace him as the face of the league. One thing I think we all have to pay attention to right now, we're in an era where we've seen the last 7 years different NBA champions. We have
Okay.
not seen a back-to-back champion since Golden State with KD. The KD and the Splash Brothers went back to back. That's our last back-to-back. So we in a run right now where it's 7 different NBA champions. So with that being said, right now is an era of really the faces who's hot right now. If you like SGA as unmarketable as I think he might be, kind of he just 30 something points a game, MVP, Finals MVP, NBA championship. He's the face of the league right now until somebody comes along and possibly knocks him off next year, and it may go on. Steph was the face of the league when they were winning championships, and then they kind of fell off for a second, and we just looked at Steph as just a great player. But then they fuck around and won again, and they beat Boston. It elevated him back to where people started saying, okay, now is he in the LeBron category? You know what I'm saying? Is he threatening LeBron and so on and so forth? So it's like when Denver won, Joker was the face of the league. Right now, a lot of people still say the Joker is still kind of the face of the league, or at the very least, the best player in the world. I think it's a trend. It's like a continuous domino thing. Whoever wins it, that best player, people are gonna look at them and kind of you get what I'm saying. We're not seeing a run of
Yeah.
dominance like we saw out of certain players where it's like
No.
they just always there, always in the mix, so they the face or they winning it. We haven't seen that since the Golden State.
So
So
do
we
do
don't.
you? Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
So in other words, we really don't have a definitive face. And
Yeah,
even through Steph winning all those, a lot of people, because a lot of people would still say LeBron was the
LeBron.
face of the league. And I think that was due more so because the media put him there and he was under the most scrutiny. Go ahead, Raj. Go ahead. Until you make yeah, but that internet again. Yeah, like that's the only thing I would say. You're not wrong because I think that it's kind of like I was watching this documentary on Stone Cold and The Rock, right?
Yeah,
Or one of them might have been Stone Cold, but then they said like he needed an adversary. At that
yeah.
time, when they were coming up, they were both the face of the WWE, right? So
Which was rare.
yes, to have two, not one but two, and like so now, like it's the same thing. We're looking at arguably the same thing here in basketball, or at that
Mhm.
time. At that time, LeBron and Steph were both, and arguably the faces of the league. Now, when I look at this, when I look at what you to your point is, you got your guys who are always in the mix, Joker. Now OKC, so SGA will be in the mix, but
Yeah.
There really is no sheer dominance. Like there are do- there are dominant teams in terms of like they get there every year. Does that make sense? Like the
Mhm.
Celtics are there, the Nuggets are there. You know,
But
they
nobody
get
respects Tatum as the face of the league, and he's marketable, but they don't
who
respect him as the face of the league.
who's that Joker?
Tatum, Jason Tatum.
And I think that's only due to the way he plays the game. Personally, I think that he is marketable. He has the potential to be that face, but just the way he plays the game. Like I said earlier, bro, if you're up there, right, and you've shot in 6 threes and you've made one or none, why are you still shooting them? You have to, and he'll go 4 of like 17 from the field or from three alone, and it's like, what are you doing? It's not helping your team. Like I heard something a
Right.
while ago that every time you shoot a three, not so much every time, but like if you shoot a three early in the shot clock, you're bailing the other team out. You're not making them work, right? Therefore, they're not getting tired. They're not getting
Right.
tired. So I just like you said, I don't think he's marketable. Like he's marketable, but you know he don't get that
People
respect,
just don't respect it. He don't get that respect.
and that's even after winning a championship.
Yep. Well, remember, they won the championship, but who won Eastern Conference MVP and Finals MVP?
Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown. So, you know what I'm saying? And people are gonna kind of look at it. Another reason why people kind of look at it for whatever reason that way is because they feel like Boston is so loaded. And believe it or not, that I believe that kind of plays a part on whether people like truly will kind of coin you as the face of the league. You know what I'm saying? Like the amount of help that you need versus the amount of help that you don't need in order to get the job done. I
Uh
think
huh.
it goes a long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm gonna give Raj a few more minutes before I talk about the trade. But I wanted to talk about because, like I said, I don't have a long list tonight. I was reading earlier that they're going to give Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams some massive contracts. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll be honest. I would do the same thing. like I think OKC still has 10. Don't quote me on it. Don't quote me on it. But I think it's 10 to 12 possibly still first round picks that they own.
That
This team
sounds
just won the championship and they have the 15th overall pick in Wednesday's draft. So you got, you know what I'm saying, you got a lot of this young talent as far as assets on the bench that's already on your team. You got the potential to add more young talent coming Wednesday with the 15th overall pick. And then you locking up three bona fide, you know what I'm saying, star to super. I would say Chet, not so much yet. I think Jalen entered the conversation with this playoff run and the finals run. Chet, I'm willing to give Chet defensive star. I'm willing to say defensive star. So I'm gonna say that with Chet. But you locking up all three of these bona fide star to superstar level players as your core. You already got Hartenstein under contract. You got cap space still. Like they in the position to do what Golden State did. They in the position to be that next dynasty or to have that next dominant team led by a superstar like SGA that could catapult him to being the face of the league, as we were just talking about. But are they gonna do it? With making those types of moves, you definitely putting yourself in play. I'll say that much.
I
If
think
nothing else.
I think um Jalen Williams 40 points, and was that game 6?
Game 5.
That was game 5. He did that.
Yep.
Um 40 points, and just really taking over the dominance. And, Chet really was a monster defensively and offered a lot of offense. He
Nah, he
missed.
struggled on offense. He
No. I'm
struggled
not.
on
I'm
offense.
not saying that, but there were points where he was serviceable on the offensive end. Certain points of the series, but he does need to be better offensively
Yeah.
overall. But I will say that I believe that OKC, yeah, I think it's somewhere in there, 10, 12 first round picks still remaining. And you lock these three guys up, they're gonna get a couple gems out of those picks, in the coming
Yeah.
years. Not every one of them's gonna hit. People are gonna move on, people are gonna do different things, but they definitely have earned their right to that money, if that makes sense. You know,
Mhm.
um, I would personally like to see more out of Chet first, but he is an anchor to this team. Especially defensively. The
Yeah.
last thing I'm gonna say before I kick it to Raj was I seen something funny the other day. So I had a picture of SGA, Chet, and Jalen Williams. Bottom left had a picture of KD, Harden, and Russ, and the other side had it had Russ, um, what you call it, Paul George, and it had Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo.
And it said at the top, it was like, how did this big three win a championship, but not these two big threes? And it, like there were people under there really arguing this, and I'm like, bro, I'm like, okay, let's look at this, right? Just real quick before I kick it to you, Raj.
Level of competition.
That's the first thing, right? Now, the one
Mhm.
thing that I looked at was OKC when it was the original, KD, those guys, right? The year they made it to the finals, right, against LeBron, like they had the better cohesive unit, but they were so young and inexperienced, and we knew LeBron wasn't losing again. Like that just wasn't happening under any circumstances, in my opinion, right? But they
Mhm.
just like I even remember the reporters saying like that during shoot around, I think they were down 3-1. It was game 5 because Miami closed them out in 5. And they were like just kind of acting like it was another game. Like it was. They weren't playing. Like when you're down like that, you got to act like it's game 7. You know what I'm saying? Every game. And they
Mhm.
just didn't have that experience or that thought process. And then when I look at the other three guys, you got to remember, I think that was after the triple doubles, right? From Russ. Was it after
Yeah.
that thing? Yep. Was it? It was after. So that
Bro,
man.
No,
after
before.
Oh, those three were together
who,
before he won the MVP.
Russ
When it,
Harden and
when
KD?
it was Russ. No. When it was Russ, um, Paul
Mello.
Paul George and Melo. Was that before
Yeah,
or
Oh,
that
that.
after?
that,
Yeah,
that yeah, that was before. He
It
yeah,
won
was
that was
MVP
before.
before. Yeah,
before
Okay.
that.
yeah.
Remember, he won MVP. If I'm not mistaken, he won MVP the very next season after KD left and went to Golden State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you look at that, like they kind of threw those three guys on the fly, and it's like they threw shit on the wall and hope for the best. Like that's how I feel like that team was constructed. But I think the first big three were more cohesive. I was saying on this post, but this team here is a really good team, and the level of competition is different. I feel like that OKC team, had to face probably stiffer competition. That's just my opinion
Bro,
for that time.
they for one, in order for them to get to the finals against Miami, they had to break through and beat Kobe. They
Yeah.
had to break through and beat Dirk.
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
like,
There's no comparing that.
So
and that's no disrespect to the teams right now, but
Yeah, these are
If it was
legends.
a Kobe or a Dirk if Kobe played for Minnesota, or no,
Mhm.
if Dirk played for Minnesota and Kobe played for what team you want to throw out there? Fuck it, put them back on the Lakers, I guess. With
Yeah,
Luka and LeBron or some shit. Like,
yeah,
like no.
yeah. Nah, those teams totally different, and it was a different era. Like you got to understand, there's so many Hall of Famers during that time.
Yeah.
You know, like we talking about Harden being first ballot Hall of Famer, Russ, you know, being a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though they were young. But I'm just saying, like, and they went up against competition that was like insane,
Yeah.
insane. That's like that. There's really no comparison. Like if you ask me, out of the whole entire generation that's coming up right now, like the whole entire league, who do you see young stars being a Hall of Famer? I'd probably say probably one or two coming out. Like SGA, of course, because he got an MVP. And then like in the West, who else? Probably say Ant-Man if he gets a couple
Wemby.
MVPs under his belt.
Mhm.
Wembanyama, you know. But there's not like you don't have Tim Duncan. You don't have like you said, Dirk. You don't have Kobe in that time era. Like it's totally different, man. But shout out to them though. They deserve what they deserve because they put up historical numbers and they played great team basketball. So I'm not, crapping on a championship, but I will say it's kind of lackluster. And I was telling somebody that earlier today. I said I'm kind of getting the same vibes I got from the bubble. Like, yeah, they won the championship and it was fun, but it just doesn't hit the same, man. It doesn't hit the same like it did back when we was watching it in the 90s.
The
We'll never
injuries,
get
I think.
we'll never get that back, bro. Ever.
Yeah,
And because of the injuries, it make it hard to not look at it like that. Like
that's true.
I was
That
telling a
is very
coworker
true.
earlier at work today. Like first thing this morning, we were talking about the game, and one of the things we both were saying to each other was like, man, like we went down with the ship because we picked OKC, but Halliburton had me thinking he was about to do some crazy shit last night before that injury. I
Exactly.
mean, he was on one, and then
Yep.
then he it was we all know what happened.
Yep.
That like dude that let's not forget how good Indiana is when he scores just 20 points. He
Mm-hmm.
had 9 points in the first 6 minutes
Yep.
and then got hurt.
That's a good point.
it,
Yeah.
it just make it hard to look at it. I pick OKC. So which means at the end of the day, I believe that if Halliburton does stay healthy or able to finish the game out without going down tearing his Achilles, that we get a knockdown slugfest and
Mm-hmm.
OKC pulls it out in the end. I believe that. But the fact that we didn't get to see that, it tanks it. It takes away
Yep.
from the weight.
Yeah.
Because now you didn't get to prove your point. And it's
Yep.
all about beating the best at their best. It's sport. Let's not forget it's sport. Sport is competition. Competition should be beating the best at their best to prove you're the best. That didn't happen last night. And
We
you
was
let this
robbed that.
team that actually supposed to be this underwhelming underdog, you let them take you 7 games.
Mm.
With their best player in Halliburton not having his best series.
And
They
they
took
had
you
the
seven
lead at the
games.
half too.
They did. So
Yep.
it's a lot of context around that you got to pay attention to.
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer in that too, in a sense, because it's like I hate finals injuries more than any of them because it kind of like there are a few that are distasteful for me. 2015, the Golden State Warriors winning against was it 15 they won the first one against Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15.
Kevin Love and Kyrie were out. I mean,
They
that's
they had injuries. They had injuries that whole playoff run though,
That
and I
whole
was
no,
looking
no.
at
playoffs,
the
they were
I'm
injured.
games.
just, I'm just
Yep.
like for context, you know. That's one that really just didn't sit well. Right?
Chris Paul when he went down that year.
Houston,
Remember
Houston, right?
they put this
Yep.
no the Clippers. Remember he went down that year. Remember he got hurt. I think it was one of the hamstrings when they
Oh,
played.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was talking. Oh, okay, because there was another year on the Rockets. They were up 3-2, and then he got hurt, the hamstring again, and
Oh
then they
yeah,
ended up
that was when
losing.
he went to Houston. Yeah, that was when he
Yep.
went to Houston. I remember that.
You
That
know,
that I agree with you, but that's that same series, if I'm not mistaken, where they went 7, right? And
it did go 7 games.
Harden and Cruz went one. What was it? 1 for 28 from 3. You
Yeah,
deserve to lose. It still only lost by what? 1 point?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, so
You deserve
you
to
have
lose.
a few. I hate to say it, but we know the year that Giannis won his championship, the whole league was injury ridiculed.
Yeah,
That
that was
that
bad.
that you know,
Another Chris Paul injury in the finals.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to go here, but I have to. Kawhi Leonard, KD, and Klay Thompson both did not play. I mean, we have to, it's just for context, but it's the truth. He's got a point. You have to be, you got to be the best. You want to beat the best to prove you are the best.
Of course.
So, but we'll see what happens with that. So now the last topic I have, saved it for last. I was waiting for you to get back in here, Raj. Let's talk about the trade that has my stepson saying the Rockets can win the championship.
No. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Bro, now let me tell you about this kid. He's really smart with sports. He's really smart with statistics. But sometimes he be drinking that Skip Bayless. Now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say how I feel. When I seen this trade, I never seen. Okay, in my opinion, Phoenix won this trade. Okay.
Do you mind going over the details of what exactly was traded for the audience?
Hold on.
I'm saying just.
So hold on, let me pull him back up here. I got him here.
Oh, you pulling it up?
Yep. We got. I just had it. There it is. So the Phoenix Suns traded Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick this week, and 5 second-round picks. Now, to me, this is just my opinion. This trade, I feel like, doesn't help either team right now. Now, I think Phoenix got more out of it than they should have, arguably, right? Considering they're getting the number 10 pick. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but that remains to be seen. But when I look at you giving up Jalen Green, now we know that, he disappeared in the playoffs. We get that. But to give up on him,
He disappears. Period.
Yeah, he disappeared. Overall,
but to give up, and Dylan Brooks doesn't offer much offensively, but defensively he's a good player. To give up, the second round picks are picks, but they're second rounders. At least they didn't give up 5 first rounders, but the number 10 pick, I just don't see how really it helps Houston. Like, you still got what's his name? What's his name there? Sangoon, right? Sangoon. Fred
Yeah.
Van Vliet, they're talking about a an extension from what I read. But
You
to me,
got you
I
got
just all right,
Thompson.
Thompson.
Yep.
All right, it helps them, but I just still feel like they
Jabari
still
Smith.
more.
Jabari Smith.
I still feel like they mortgage some of the
Houston.
future to get a guy who's not going to be happy in about 48 months or 24 months, and for some reason is going to want to get out of there. Or for some reason he's going to be in the headline to get out of there again. I don't know. I guess I got mixed feelings because it's weird. Like I just don't know. I don't know. As for Phoenix, I feel like the cancer is still on their team. Getting rid of KD was the wrong thing. I mean, obviously they wanted to both get out of that situation, but the cancer is still on their team. And that cancer is still there because that cancer has a no trade clause. You know, I had someone then I was talking to my stepson. He said Devin Booker's the problem. Like Devin Booker. I said I don't know about that. I said that's a little wild. But what's you guys' thoughts on this trade? Whoever wants to go first.
I go. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and get mine out the way. I won't be too long. I'll try not to be too long, I promise.
No, we're
I
good. We still
definitely
got some
disagree
time.
with you. I feel like Houston won this trade. But I want to say Phoenix got some fair value. But
Okay.
the part about it for Phoenix with me is that when I look at this trade, you traded for Dylan Brooks, you traded for Jalen Green, and then you got these host of picks. So now you got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal all under contract. Three ball dominant wing guard players and one wing guard player who can get hot on any given night and maybe give you some buckets. But we all know his main prowess on the NBA court is to be a disruptor and a defender and get under star players' skin. That's what Dylan Brooks does.
Right.
I just don't really see, I don't see it. I don't see it. Like where's the big depth at? Where's the what I'm saying? Like this is just a poorly constructed team right now after this move, and I gotta believe that they're probably gonna make maybe another move here come draft night or maybe sometime in the near future, later in the summer or whatever. Because are you really is this gonna be what you go into the season with? I don't see it. But as far as with Houston, man, I think Houston is Ime Udoka for one. You can't discount that probably the if not the best coach in the league right now, definitely top three. You got Sangoon, you got Amen Thompson, you still got Jabari Parker. You add the KD, you still got Van Vliet under contract. You still got Terry Eason, who's a rising, high caliber role player, could possibly be a star, what I'm saying, in the making. It's another one, Shepard, Reed Shepard. You still got him in the fold, who's another hell of a good role player that could be a potential star in the making.
Yep.
I think Houston is rolling with this trade, man. Again, I got to be the one to switch the narrative here. The better question for this whole trade scenario with KD is this: how does this affect KD's legacy going forward if the Houston Rockets do not deliver a championship? Or if he does not deliver a championship with and for the Houston Rockets, or if they become worse or do not get better? That's the true question, in my opinion. Because let's not forget, this is the same dude that wanted out of Brooklyn. You got out of Brooklyn. Then you got the Phoenix. You got what you wanted in Brooklyn. You wanted out of Brooklyn. You got out of Brooklyn. Now you got the Phoenix. You got what you wanted in Phoenix. It didn't work. Now you got out of Phoenix. Now you going to motherfucking Houston now. This is one of the teams that you picked that you wanted to go to. You're there now. And then let's not forget, you were up 3-1 before you left OKC to go join the team that eventually came back from 3-1 to beat you in the Western Conference Finals in Golden State. KD, I love KD, but fuck all of these analysts and these players that be trying to make it seem like we as the seeing fans are not seeing what the fuck we see, and that because we only see versus actually being on the court that we have like this opinion that doesn't matter, or that, you know what I'm saying, like, you get what I'm trying to say. They love to try to throw
Yeah.
that out there, but
I
I
get
think
it.
it's a way of deflecting and protection. Dude, you still owe, as far as legacy, to deliver a championship as a number one option star player carrying a team, because you criticized LeBron from going to Miami. You were one of the main ones to speak up on LeBron going to Miami on Twitter. I don't give a fuck if you were 20-something years old and now you 36, 37. You did it. And then you jumped ship and went and won your motherfucking rings with Golden State, with the Splash Brothers, with a ready-made team. Now, I knew that Golden State needed KD because they didn't have anybody that could match LeBron at the end of a game. But at the same time, we knew that adding KD, this team was unstoppable. It's like going to the park and you got the four dudes who play on the high school team together on the team up against the dudes who get all A's in math and science. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Like, you stacking the deck, it just, you know what I'm saying, it does something to the legacy. I don't care what nobody says. When you stack the deck,
Mhm.
it affects the legacy. You
I
have to
agree.
deliver a championship. With this Houston team is ready made. This is one of the teams that we all talked about in the past on
Mhm.
this very
Mhm.
show. That was one of
Mhm.
the ones that if he went there, Detroit, Houston, San Antonio, had young talent that was ready made, that he should be able to go there and deliver the goods. Well, it's time, KD. You're in Houston. You need to finally be able to show that you can deliver the goods without Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr.
Mhm.
And I rest my case at that. I'm sorry for being long-winded, but I had to get that shit out when it came to this whole KD shit, because nobody talked about it all day. And the minute Stephen A tried to scratch at it a little bit, all your little pundits who played in the league, they always want to try to defend it. And fuck that. We know what we see. Deliver.
Go ahead, Rod.
Yo, I don't even know how to even follow up after that. He 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 literally laid everything out on the table, and I'm saying that respectively because you know what? He's right. KD's legacy is in Well, it's not jeopardy. It's in question. Like, this is it. If this man ruins the opportunity to win a championship for this kid, with this, I was going to say kid team, for this young squad, yo, I'll never forgive him. I'll never forgive him because I get why they picked KD up, because he's that scorer that they need, that's consistent, unlike Jalen Green, who disappears every single game, or he appears every time I put him for the unders on my parlay, he shows up and scores 30. So this is the type of player he is. He shows up when it's unnecessary. So when it's all said and done, KD can give you 25, 30 every single night. KD played on every single great team that was ever established in the West, pretty much. I mean, it comes down to, like, the Golden State Warriors, OKC. Now he's on the Houston Rockets. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to stop allowing these stars to get away with this. And I'm actually happy that the Phoenix Suns are in the place they're in, because number one, they went out and they try to go get a superstar like Bradley Beal. Well, a star, excuse me, all-star like Bradley Beal, and thought it was going to put him over the top. I'm glad it failed. And I'm glad that they're feeling it from right now, because that's what you get for trying to build a big three in the league for no apparent reason. You had a good team, y'all went to the finals, and you absolutely ruined DeAndre Ayton. You killed his confidence. So I don't have no type of love for Phoenix, because they destroyed stars. Also, not to mention, this number 10 pick, this is probably the weakest draft that we have seen in the past 5 years. So that 10 pick is pretty much a throwaway. So
It's a lot of pundits would disagree with you on that. It's a lot of people saying that this is supposed to be a real deep NBA draft. They say one
I
of the
don't.
deepest since 2003.
I think
I've literally heard that.
I think it's probably deep in the top 5, top 7. But when it gets to 10, it gets kind of murky. And I'm saying that because I watch a lot of college basketball, and I know their job on TV is to watch sports too. But what I'm saying is, a lot of the mock drafts that I'm watching, and I'm a Nets fan. I'll tell you right now,
Mhm.
I got the number 8 pick. I know we're going to get somebody crappy, because once you look at the top 4, you're like, okay, those guys are going to be stars. But once you start getting it to like 4 and 8, you're like, nah, these dudes are role players at best.
Hmm.
So I don't think Phoenix won the trade. I think they potentially lost the trade, because we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But as far as KD goes, man, this is it. This is it. And I feel bad. I feel bad for Ime Udoka, because he's going to be criticized for a lot of the losses. And even though it's not going to be 100% his fault, a lot of this stuff is going to fall on his lap, because they're going to say, well, you should be prepared for this type of stuff. Like, you should be prepared for this spotlight. The Houston Rockets went number 2 last season, and nobody talked about it. Literally
That's
nobody
correct.
mentioned them. So I feel with KD being an addition to it, everyone's going to be talking about the Houston Rockets. And every single loss, they're going to be mentioning how bad the team is, or how the team is falling since they picked up with KD. So that's my thing, man. I just hope that KD can deliver. I hope he proves us wrong. But I know he's going to do exactly what he did in Brooklyn, what he did with the Phoenix Suns, and now he's out there in Houston, and he's going to possibly stink up the joint too. So that's just my take, man. I hope that I hope they don't fire Ime after this. I honestly don't. I hope he keeps his job, because he don't deserve this. He's an excellent coach. He's an excellent coach, and I know KD's a coach killer. He got everybody killed.
That's another thing in Phoenix. When you first got there, they had Monty Williams.
Yep.
Didn't want him. Got him out of there. He had took him to the finals. Got him out
Yeah.
of there. Then
Yeah.
you bring in Budenholzer. Was it? I think no. Vogel, who
Vogel.
had
Yeah.
just come off of a championship, the bubble championship with
Yep.
the
The Lakers.
Lakers, but
Yep.
still, yet nonetheless, a championship. And we all know to be a pretty good damn head coach in the league.
Yep.
Couldn't get it done with him. Didn't want him. Got him out of there. Bring
Mm-hmm.
in another championship coach, Mike Budenholzer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the problem was there. Didn't
They
get it
butted
in with
heads.
Mike Budenholzer. Got rid of him. Now
Mm-hmm.
you want out.
He's a coach
Steve
killer.
Nash, when you first got to Brooklyn, you had Kenny Atkinson,
Yep.
who's now the reigning head coach of the year for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But you had
Got him
Kenny
fired.
Atkinson. Got him fired because
Yep.
y'all wanted Steve Nash up in there. That tanked off. All I'm saying at some point, brother, hey, Steph showed he could do it without you when he knocked off the Celtics, who were prime and ready to do it, and Steph stood in their way before
Mm-hmm.
the first time they tried to do it. He showed he could do it without you. It's your turn, KD.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man.
Well, y'all know I've had a disdain for KD since that July 4th. When he decided that he was going. But right now, I think R&B's question is very valid, because now you've backed yourself into a situation where you have to win. You're coming in there and you're going to be the guy. Don't matter who's there. You're going to be the guy. They're going to look to this as your team. And if that team don't, the media sure as hell is.
Mm-hmm.
And now, can you take this team to where they hope to go? They haven't won an NBA final since what? 96?
Yep.
Who?
And I
Houston?
think, yeah.
Was it 90? No, it was 94, 95.
94, 95. Yeah.
94, 95. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
When Jordan was out.
Hakeem, and then the second year with Drexler.
So 94 they won and 95.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So now the pressure's on. It's all on you to prove you can be the guy you've always wanted to be. And he ain't been that guy at all. Not even remotely close. Because to R&B's point, he needed Curry. He went there, he won, whatever, but you haven't won since. And I think I read something the other day where he's only won like 2 playoff series since he's left.
Yeah.
I should have saved it. But I think I forget what else. But I clearly remember
right.
two series since he's left the Warriors. He's won 2 playoff series.
Yeah.
There were some other stats there too. I just can't remember them. I didn't save it. I just went so fast.
Swept the last 2 years in Phoenix.
Yep.
Did they make the? They didn't even make the playoffs this year,
did
did
they? Playoffs this season? No. That's the thing. Those two playoff series were in Brooklyn. They got
so that's my bad. He got swept the year before last in Phoenix. Remember, Ant-Man swept him. A year before last.
Yeah. Yep. Year before last, he got swept. He's not who he portrays to be.
That's the thing about KD, bro. And I promise I won't be long-winded with this one. But this the thing about KD. He is who he is, Mike. He is that guy. That's why the expectations have been where they are since probably 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
Maybe 10. But the expectations on KD, it been there for a minute because he is that guy. And think about this. Did y'all know that he shoots a better percentage and scoring wise and efficiency better now in his mid-30s than he did back in the day when we were anointing him in his 20s?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, like, this dude is still a walking bucket. This dude is 27 out the bed in pajamas, 27 a night is what he doing on 50% shooting. If SGA wasn't around right now, KD probably would have threatened to win the MVP if Phoenix was worth a damn. You know what I'm saying? Because he pretty much damn near right there with SGA as far as the 50% and all that shit. He about 3 points lower though, because what was SGA 30 and I think KD's 27. But all I'm saying at the end of the day, he is that guy, Mike. He is that guy. He just needs to be more of a leader as that guy. You can't just expect to. Kobe couldn't just go out there and expect to be like, well, I'm gonna take my 25 to 30 shots. I'm gonna try to, you can't have the Carmelo approach, especially when you supposed to want to be a champion. You want to, win championships. You can't do the Carmelo approach.
True.
That's the Carmelo approach, in my opinion. Like just get my stats or whatever. We've heard it time and time again when it came to Melo. He want to get his stats. KD, I don't think he the type that just want to get his stats. Because he knows he can get his stats. You know what I'm saying? So he just go get stats. You get what I'm saying? He just go get stats. You gotta lead. You gotta be more vocal. You gotta be the leader of this team. They're gonna be dependent on it. They're gonna need more from you in Houston.
And Another thing I read, this is the last thing on the list, is Houston said that they are they're not they're looking possibly to add another star, make another splash. Um, I don't know who that could be, but what are your thoughts
Excuse me.
on who on if they were to do that? Because let's just hypothetically say they do that, right? I don't know who take your pick of who it could be, but let's just say they get someone who looking to win. I just can't think of anyone offhand who would want to be moved or needed to be moved to fulfill that. But then, if that happens, That's even more the reason to have the pressure to win. I mean, I don't know if that's a smart move because now you got to mortgage something else. Like it could help you at the top, but on the back end, it might cut you might be cutting your legs from under you, depending on what you got to give up in order to achieve that, or who you have to give up, I should say. Because you mentioned all those other players, it sounds like they have a good core, you know, in totality. But if you have to give up more of that to get someone else, is it worth it?
Depends on who it is. Because you definitely missing some toughness, I would say. When you trade Dylan Brooks, you trade toughness.
Yeah.
He was the toughness of that team, and I think KD needs somebody like a Dylan Brooks next to him. Like that. That's willing to be the bad guy and cause all the havoc. So I definitely think that it kind of sucks a little bit for them that they had to include him in the deal. But as far as anybody that I can think of, like right now offhand, that could possibly end up it be who they might be targeting, I couldn't even tell you. I can't think of it.
I can't
Yeah.
think of a person either. But I will
Maybe
say,
maybe one of the Pelicans, Zion or some shit. I don't know.
uh, they would have to give
Tell
up a lot of
already
more. They
traded,
have to
right?
give up some. Yeah, they would have to give up a lot.
Brandon Ingram. I don't know. Some who knows.
If I'm the Rockets, I'm rolling what we got and seeing how it turns out, and then maybe make some moves during the middle of the season if we need like an enforcer, or if we need a rebounder, or if we need spot up shooter. Because I like the young core they got, like you mentioned, Tari Eason,
Mhm.
you know, Jabari Smith. Um, you got young stars on that team. Reed Shepard. These guys can give you some buckets, and they can also play pretty decent
His
defense.
defense.
You know,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't move. I wouldn't move yet. I'll wait probably mid-season and see what happens. But if they make a move like that and give up their pieces and mortgage the future, then they're in win now mode. And I know they're in win now mode now, but that will put them definitely in the spotlight. And I don't like that for Ma, because I think he'll probably need 2 years to really win a chip. I think this year and the next upcoming season.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could. Why to do that? Okay. Well, I guess I'll just.
I was wondering
Uh,
what happened. I'm like, what the hell?
I
yeah,
know.
I hit the wrong. There we go. Well, plus, MA don't need no more scrutiny. He already did the most unforgivable thing ever.
Oh yeah, we
Oh
already
my
know that.
goodness. Here we go.
I'm
Here we
sorry.
go.
I hate. I just can never ever get over that. Like it's gonna like bother me to my core. Like, oh gosh. I mean, I know it ain't basketball related, but damn it, you did it with someone on the basketball organization.
Yeah, well, you didn't know what
But
she was doing.
hey, listen, yeah, you right, you right. She, but damn it, if she was doing nothing, let's just say, you don't know what happens behind closed doors. But yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, I don't want him to be the fall guy either. We know he is a great coach. He banded this team together this season. They got number two. But to your point, Raj, they got Kirk Cousins, man. They were number 2 and nobody cared.
Nobody cared, bro. Absolutely nobody cared. I had to double check. I had to double check to see if there was number 2. I'm like, oh shoot, there was number 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know if y'all remember me saying this of some months back when we were having a discussion about the Rockets and them giving Jalen Green that contract extension. And remember I had said that I was like that's not really, in my opinion, it didn't look like the type of extension that showed that they had 100% faith in moving forward with him.
You did
It's
say
like
that.
they just
Yeah.
I'm like that deal kind of looked very 2008, 2009ish that they gave him or whatever. And it just did. It didn't look like one of these crazy max extensions that we be seeing. Like they paid him like they felt like what he was. And
They paid.
he did sign early too, so but
They
I
gave
don't know.
him a salary cap friendly extension
Deal. Exactly.
just in case he gets traded. AKA, we're trading you at the end of the season.
Yeah, they was already prepared for they I think they already had been on the block and didn't know it.
Yeah, but he also know he was trash.
He said he also knew he was
Can't
trash.
tell him
That's why he signed it so quick. I don't blame the young boy. Like, think about it. He knew he was trash, bro. Like, what he had 2 points in one playoff game, something
I
crazy
don't
like that. I
think
remember.
Jalen
Yeah,
Green trash. I just think he just not what we or what people want him to be or what some may think he is or whatever. Some people are just what they are. You know what I'm saying? He went number 2 in the draft because we people looked at him and saw the crazy athletic ability
yeah.
and the potential ability to be able to score at a high clip. And he's shown that he can score at a high clip. He's just very inconsistent at times at doing it.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Well, we're gonna see what that brings. It's gonna be interesting moving forward. Well, my brothers, that is all that I have this evening. I had no NFL topics because not much is going on. Um, but if there's anything else you guys wanted to cover, let me know before we sign off of here.
Yes, real quick. Make
Yep.
sure you guys watch the NBA draft. It's happening
Thursday.
on Thursday on the 25th.
Wednesday. Is
Oh,
it
it's
Thursday?
Wednesday?
I thought it was Wednesday.
Well, it's Wednesday and
Let's
Thursday, I
fact check.
think. When's the 25th? It's
Is it?
25th. Yeah,
25th
25th
is
and the
Wednesday.
26th.
Yeah, so Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday. Then
Yeah,
yeah,
round 1
25th is
is Wednesday. Round 2 is Thursday. Make sure you guys check it out. We're gonna be discussing a lot of that next week.
Should we
Okay.
should we do a report Wednesday? Maybe about 8:30. Can y'all rock with it, or I think Raj will be at work.
Yeah, I'm at work at that time, but I'm gonna see if I can go on break just so I can get my input.
Wednesday. You want to do? All right. So let's do it this way. Just text us like your break time, and then we'll like just say like, "Yo, I'm going on break 8:30." Let's just say I'll log in 8:20, and then me
Yeah,
and R&B will wait for you backstage, and as soon as you come in, we'll go live.
that sounds good. We'll do it.
Yeah.
All right. All
Hey,
right.
I do got one thing I want to one small little topic to hit real quick before we log out.
Yeah. What's that?
I just want to know what y'all think on this one, man. My boy John Jones decided to call it a career, retired on us yesterday. Do you think he ducking old boy that been calling him out, or do you think he just went on and decided to shut it down?
After the last fight that I seen, um, they asked him if he was going to retire, and he said that he wasn't sure. That, to my knowledge, he said he wasn't sure that they wanted another fight. I can't remember who, but that he wasn't sure. So, you know what they say: when you think about retirement, you've retired.
Yep.
So it's not like like he was like, "Yeah, I'm a fight," and then now it's like, no, I'm not fighting.
So let me ask you this then, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think for somebody that's as great, and we ain't got to be long with this, I promise, but do you think for somebody that's as great and recognized in the world of MMA the way John Jones is, do you think that it would have been better for him to take the fight against Aspinall, Tom, before retiring just to prove his point? Because this dude been calling him out. He been calling him out. He been trying to fight him. He been begging to fight John Jones. And for whatever reason, the fight just hadn't got made. The rumor is that if John Jones would have said, "Yeah," Dana would have made the fight like that. But he just didn't really give a fuck about being called out by him. Would you say that that's? Do it sound like ducking? Do it sound like he was retired? And do you think that was the proper way to do it? Because some would say, with him being as great as he is and was the past current champion, you you should have taken this dude out and then decided to retire. But now because you're doing it the way you did it, this dude rises up and becomes the new undisputed heavyweight champion without even having to knock you off. He's just being handed the belt now.
I would say that it's a little bit of both when you put it the way you asked the question. So, like,
Yeah.
he he thinks about, if I'm going to retire, right, I want to be remembered as the badass I was. Now, if you're going to fight someone that's going to threaten that or could potentially take you out, or you fear could take you out, I would say it's a little bit of ducking. The only thing that, for me, that kind of saves him a little bit, not fully, but a little bit, is that he was talking retirement. So it's not like, it's, for me, this is just my opinion, it's not like he's like dude's calling him out and then he's like, I'm retiring. That's straight. That you're a buster and not Buster Douglas, and you're straight, like you're straight ducking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do think it's a little bit of both. But I think also, like, that's a big payday. Like, I'm not fully familiar with MMA or UFC like as I would like to be, but if someone's calling out someone of John Jones' stature, that tells me that individual is worth or has a good enough stature himself to be able to call someone of his greatness out. So
Aspinall is an absolute beast. But most pundits said that John Jones would have had his way with him because he's too little.
So, I mean, I think that, like I said, I think it's a little bit of both. I do think he wanted to retire because he talked about it, but I do think it was ducking as well. But the other thing is, I really hate when, oh my gosh, people. So, yeah. So, I think it's a little bit of both, but I just do think that he's done. But if it were me, personally, I'd have probably taken the fight. Even if you do lose, so what? You didn't go out on top. You
still go out on top, and you still recognize as the greatest heavyweight.
You still, yeah.
Everybody got to get knocked off at some point.
Yeah, if you win, you win. You lose. So what? But I to answer your question, it's a little bit of both to me. But I'd have taken the fight. Fuck it.
I hear you. What about you, Raj? What you say?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think because he's at the age where if he would have took the fight and lost, that would have like really affected him mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like he would probably hold on to that for a while. But if he won, he's not really proving anything. Like he's still doing what he's still one of the greatest to ever do it. So, but I also believe, man, in UFC is tough because you can lose with just a punch. You know what I'm saying? So he probably was leaning towards like ducking it more than just wanting to retire. He probably was ducking the fade because, like you said, if it's been a while, you've been calling him out. he should have been took the fight on.
Yeah.
So he might have been trying to preserve his legacy. I don't know. Maybe he's in fear or something. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of those fighters that retire like that, I always say it's always good to retire early than retire late, because you don't want to see them get hit and then next they got CTE and all these other injuries that they can't really recoup fast from. Especially someone like John Bones Jones. Like, he's somebody that everyone recognizes.
That's a testament to his greatness, because you can't really think of a time that you've seen him be hit. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, not to that level to where it was like, damn, that shook him or that rocked him. Like, dude,
right.
is he that guy?
Yeah, and like I said, it's sometimes best to retire early than late. Not saying you retired early, but you know what I mean. Stepping away on your
Yeah,
own time instead of retiring when they lay you out and now you got to retire because of medical conditions. And I hate to see that for fighters, man. Shit, especially
yeah.
UFC. Like, it's ultimate. It's the ultimate gladiator sport, man.
It- so over his career, and he just retired yesterday. He's 37 years old. This can be the last nugget of the night, Mike. Over his
No
career,
worries.
dude accumulated 28 wins to 1 loss. His
Mm,
only loss was a disqualification due to a legal elbow when he fought Matt Hamill. Other than
wow,
that, flawless.
So
he's the
so
goat.
arguably, I mean, depends on how you look at it. Arguably and technically, he never lost. I mean, yeah, you got DQ'd, but when I say never lost, I mean no one ever
Never
beat you.
Nobody
lost
ever
a
put you
fight.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Tap you out
impressive.
or put you
I
down.
never knew that.
Yeah. And he took out Daniel Cormier, I think like 2 or 3 times they fought, and he and he
Yeah,
took him out. So kudos, man. Don't miss
yeah,
watching them fight. Wish he didn't retire. I would love to see McGregor fight again, even though he get knocked out every time. Nah, it's just the build up to it be so damn fun and funny. But
yeah. He's probably the
you know what
best.
I'm saying?
He's probably one of the best at like promoting.
Yeah, for sure.
I love
Watch out
seeing
for
his
Terrence
promos.
Crawford and Canelo, though, baby. Terrence Crawford and
Oh
Canelo. We
man,
got it.
who you got?
September, baby.
Who you got?
Terrence Crawford.
I
Terrence
got
Crawford.
Terrence. I got Terrence.
I got it going. I got it going 12 rounds, but I got Terrence because I don't think Canelo's chin is going to be anywhere near as weak as what Earl Spence's chin was that night we saw him get embarrassed. And I didn't expect his chin to be like that, but I knew that Terrence had punching power. But Canelo
Yeah,
a different animal. I think Canelo gonna be able to take a lot of those shots that Spence couldn't. But I think in the end, Terrence Crawford will be able to outbox Canelo and take it home in a decision.
yeah.
Mm. It's good. When's that fight? September?
Yeah.
Well, September. I seen it earlier. Is and it's on pay per view or is
I
it on? Or I seen something
pay,
about
pay,
Netflix.
Really? I ain't see that, but as far as I know, definitely
Wow.
pay-per-view. Pay-per-view for sure.
Yeah,
Even if it's on
that.
Netflix, you'll probably have to pay for it. I can't see it being on there for free.
Let's see. Canelo
Too
Crawford.
big of a fight. It's a legacy fight.
Yeah, it says. It says here. Hold on. Yeah, it says here it'll be streamed on Netflix.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah,
says
like you
on.
said, R&B, you might have to
Is
pay for it
is
though.
is that in America though? Because sometimes they stream events on Netflix for other for other countries. It'll be on Netflix, but it'll only be for like other countries. And here in America, you'll have to buy it via pay-per-view.
Hmm.
Sometimes I could be misspeaking on that, but
Says
sometimes I know it's in Vegas though.
it will be streamed live globally on Netflix. It says it'll be available to all Netflix subscribers at no additional cost.
Wow, I'm looking at that too. I'm reading the same thing that you're reading.
Yeah.
Uh, Yep, and when you go down a little bit more, it says no pay-per-view. It will be available to all Netflix subscribers globally without any extra pay-per-view charge. Wow,
That's
that's
even,
something, ain't it?
and
That's something right there. Like
hopefully,
Netflix probably shelving out big money in order for them not to put this fight on pay-per-view.
Oh
They're
yeah,
shelving out big money because the
yeah,
pay-per-view money, this they had both of these fighters had the potential of having a not maybe a necessarily a Floyd Mayweather night pocket wise from pay-per-view revenue, but I would probably say at least half of what Floyd could do by himself, which is a great fucking payday anyway.
yeah,
Which is a great fucking payday anyway. Both of these fighters, I
absolutely.
believe, have the potential to pull that in if this fight was on pay-per-view. So Netflix is definitely shelving out big bucks for this to be streamed. Good shit, Netflix. Good shit, Netflix.
The only thing that concerns me
The
is
buffering and shit.
they,
Damn
I
it,
think
Mike,
they,
don't you speak on it. I'm
I,
knocking on wood. I'm
because
knocking on wood.
we seen it with the Tyson fight, you know, and now and that was big for
What
them. But
you
this
said with the who?
when they had the Tyson and what you call it fight, Tyson and Paul fight
yeah.
Tyson and Jake Paul had a fight?
on Netflix. Yeah,
I
you
had
don't
no idea. Wow. I did not know they had a fight on Netflix. I
you
thought that
don't
was just some scripted bullshit.
no, they really had something. Yeah,
It was definitely a
I
fight, but
think
it
I
was
think
it
I
was
think I
definitely
flew over his head for a second, Raj. I got him.
yeah,
I got him. I got Mike with that one.
scripted.
they had something.
That was some scripted
uh,
bullshit. I think they said Vince McMahon produced that fight
yeah, he
before he
probably
fought the
did.
charge or some shit.
It looked like a Vince McMahon production. Oh my
Vince
god.
McMahon production. But yeah, hopefully we don't have that, because I assume a lot more people are gonna watch that.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
I ain't gonna lie. If it's still available on pay-per-view, just because of my non-trust of Netflix, I might be willing to still pay for it if it's available on to order on any cable source or something like that, or app source outside of Netflix. I might be willing to pay for it just to make sure that I don't have to deal with that bullshit because that multiple times we've dealt with this with Netflix with live events. Don't
Yep.
forget about the football game. So
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Lagging
damn
dragon.
it, Netflix, you better not fuck this up for us.
yeah, don't mess it up. Let it be. Let it be.
Hmm.
Well, gentlemen, that's all I got for tonight. So we'll do a report Wednesday,
Yep.
and we will get this episode back up on the network. I talked to them, so we're going back. We're going back in the right direction.
Wednesday.
So
Good.
Wednesday we'll be on. Raj, just tell us what time you're going on break, and we will go from there.
Sounds good, man. Sounds real
All
good.
right.
Looking forward to it, man.
All right, everyone. Have a good night. Be safe. Be positive. Be blessed. Peace.
Peace.